You know, when you think about how ancient Egyptian embalmers got to the brain of a pharaoh, you probably imagine them having to cut open the skull, right? Well, they didn't. Nope. Instead, with this incredible, almost surgical precision, they found a totally different way in. They pulled the brain out. Through the nose. Yeah, you heard that right. And the most shocking part of this whole thing, this wasn't some mistake. This was completely 100% intentional. This incredible procedure is called the ritual of the heart and hook, and honestly, it's one of the most misunderstood practices from all of ancient Egypt. It sounds absolutely gruesome, I know, but once you understand what they believed, you'll see there's a profound, almost beautiful logic to it. So, the big question is, how in the world did they actually pull this off? Well, first things first, we have to get this image of a crude, violent act out of our heads. This wasn't that at all. It was a methodical, careful procedure performed with the intense focus of a sacred ceremony. The process itself was surprisingly systematic. Embalmers had this long, curved metal tool, a kind of cranial hook. They would carefully insert it up through a nostril, push it deep inside until it reached a very thin bone, the ethmoid bone, and break through into the cranial cavity. And then, well, they'd stir. They'd whisk the brain around, sometimes pulling it out piece by piece, other times just liquefying it so it could all drain out. And that distinction is just so important. This wasn't violence, it was ritual. There was no rush, no panic. There was only precision. It was a necessary step in a holy process, and they did it with complete reverence, which of course leads us to the central mystery of all this. To us, the brain is everything. It's our identity, our thoughts, our memories. It's who we are. So why on earth would they go to all that trouble just to throw it away? The answer lies in a really fundamental difference in how they understood the human body. For them, it all came down to a battle of the heart versus the brain, a fight for the title of the seat of the soul, and the difference in perspective is just stark. For us, the brain is the command center, no question, but for the ancient Egyptians, the brain was almost irrelevant. They believed that everything that made you, your intelligence, your emotions, your actual soul, all of it lived in your heart. The heart, or the Ab, as they called it, was the absolute key to the afterlife. It was the one major organ they intentionally left inside the body during mummification. Everything else came out, but the heart stayed. It was protected, it was honored, it was absolutely essential for the journey ahead. And the reason for all this special treatment was something called the weighing of the heart ceremony. The Egyptians believed that after you died, your heart was literally put on a scale and weighed against a single feather, the feather of Ma'at, the goddess of truth and justice. And that one single moment, that judgment, determined your entire fate. Your heart was your eternal witness. Now, okay, the brain might have been discarded, but the other organs, they were treated with incredible care. This was all part of a comprehensive system designed to prepare the body for its eternal journey. The other important organs, the liver, lungs, stomach, and intestines, were all carefully removed, preserved, and placed into these sacred containers we call canopic jars. And get this, each jar and the organ inside was protected by one of the 4 sons of the god Horus. There was a divine order and a purpose for everything. So here's the most important point. Mummification wasn't about desecrating a body. It was about meticulously preparing a vessel for its journey into eternity. To truly get our heads around this, we have to kind of step outside our own modern worldview. We have to try and see reality the way they did. Reality where life wasn't a straight line, but a continuum. You see, their core belief was that death wasn't an end. It was just a transition, a change of form. And for that journey to the afterlife to be successful, the physical body needed to be preserved. Not perfectly, but symbolically. It acted like a sacred anchor for the soul. And that brings us right back to the brain. In this grand cosmic journey, the brain simply had no role to play. It held no weight in the final judgment. It served no purpose in the afterlife. In their view, it was just stuffing. Ultimately, it all came down to this simple, powerful idea. The heart decided your fate, not your thoughts, not your memories, your heart. Your character, your morality, your worthiness, all of that was contained in the heart, and that was what would be judged. And that's really the key takeaway, isn't it? What seems so bizarre and so shocking to us was, within their framework of knowledge and belief, completely and utterly logical. It was just part of a different reality. And this leaves us with a final question to chew on. If their perfectly logical actions seem so strange to us, What widely held beliefs or common practices do we have today that future generations will look back on and find just as baffling?